Welcome everyone. Want to wish you a happy holidays. Welcome to Read the Right Thing. I'm your host, Eric. Today we're talking about Holidays on Ice by David Sedaris. David Sedaris is an American author originally from Raleigh, North Carolina. It seems like he's lived just about everywhere, but I think now he lives in England. I reviewed one of his books, Calypso, on the channel already, so if you haven't, check that out. If you haven't read a David Sedaris book yet, then I would recommend that you pick one up because I find David Sedaris really hilarious. Holidays on Ice was published in 1997, really before David Sedaris became as famous as he is today. This book is a collection of holiday-themed short stories. Some are based off of Sedaris' own life, and others, I hope, are based off of no one's life. But you never know. The first and probably most popular story is called Santaland Diaries. The New York Times called it a probing expose of the ritual pilgrimage to visit Mr. Claus at Macy's, based on his observations as elf for hire. Sedaris really worked as an elf at Macy's in New York. After reading the story, you'll never quite look at mall Santas the same way again. The tales of the people who work as elves and Santas and the entire debacle will take on new meaning for you. Maybe on your own visits to malls across America, you'll start to look at the elves and think, yeah, maybe that one over there, maybe he's just here to try to pick up women. Santaland Diaries is an enjoyable read, and I even checked out some of the audiobook on YouTube, and it's really funny. Sedaris makes something as boring as mall Santas really funny because when you look at the world the way David Sedaris sees it, it's always pure comedy. This is apart from Santaland Diaries. 2 New Jersey families came together to see Santa. 2 loud, ugly husbands with 2 wives and 4 children between them. The children gathered around Santa and had their picture taken. When Santa asked the 10-year-old boy what he wanted for Christmas, his father shouted, "A woman! Get him a woman, Santa!" These men were very rude and irritating, constantly laughing and jostling one another. The 2 women sat on Santa's lap and had their pictures taken, and each asked Santa for a KitchenAid brand dishwasher and a decent winter coat. Then the husband sat on Santa's lap, and when asked what he wanted for Christmas, one of the men yelled, "I want a broad with big tits." The man's small-breasted wife crossed her arms over her chest, looked at the floor, and gritted her teeth. The man's son tried to laugh. So that's just one of the examples of the many funny things that David Sedaris saw while he was working as an elf in Macy's in New York. Now, you can imagine what type of interesting, funny, crazy people and things you would probably see at those Macy's stores. The second story is a satirical piece on holiday bulletin letters that so many of us get. I don't really get them, but my parents get them, and I often read through the people I know. You know, the families, they'll send letters, and they kind of just update what they've been up to the entire year. And it's always these really positive, rosy, kind of somewhat bragging, oh, we did this, this, and this. We went on this glamorous vacation, and our sons and daughters are so great. But every once in a while, you'll get one that is kind of negative. It'll say something like, oh, unfortunately, our marriage didn't work out and now we're split up. Sedaris is kind of poking fun at these letters. Clearly, they're written by a woman, and the bad news is sugar-coated with a giddy tone. In this letter, a Vietnamese teenager comes to their home, claiming she is the daughter of the husband. Sedaris really nails the tone of that mom and housewife trying to sugarcoat her year in a holiday letter. The story, Dina the Christmas Whore, is as sentimental as this book gets, with David Sedaris going on an excursion with his sister to rescue a woman from an abrasive boyfriend. Or client, I'm not really sure which. I'm not sure if Dina was actually a hooker or just everyone thought she was. The Sedaris family exemplifies the Christmas spirit as they welcome this woman in their home 4 days before Christmas. It was a good story. I wouldn't say it was as funny as some of the other stories in this book, but it was an interesting look into the Sedaris family and their household and just how different they are from other families. My favorite part of this book was his reviews of children's school Christmas pageants. His caustic wit and sharp humor really made me laugh in this one. It's like he took everything an adult wants to really say about a children's play, and then he just said it and dialed it up 10 levels. So not just that, oh, the play was boring, but really dialing it up and really critiquing these actors. He doesn't hold anything back in his criticism of these junior actors and producers. It's all made up, of course, but it might as well be your local elementary pageant. Take, for example, this section of the short story. He starts off talking about the dialogue. Mary to Joseph. I am tired. Joseph to Mary. We will rest here for the night. There's no fire, no give and take, and the audience soon grows weary of this passionless relationship. In the role of Mary, 6-year-old Sharon Burke just barely manages to pass herself off as a virgin. A cloying, preening stage presence, her performance seemed based on nothing but an annoying proclivity toward lifting her skirt and, on rare occasions, opening her eyes. The penultimate story, and probably my least favorite of the bunch, is called Based Upon a True Story. In this story, a fancy sitcom producer is talking to a congregation of simple Southerners, and he's trying to get on their good side because he wants the rights to a story from one of the members in the congregation who won't consent to giving it to him. While he is trying to charm over the audience, his compliments really just come across as insults. At the end of the day, he's totally self-serving and he really just wants the story. He's gonna get it one way or the other. The final short story is about rival neighbors who compete in giving. They are both filthy rich, and the type of giving does more harm than good. It's a funny take on the giving spirit gone wrong, when people only give to make themselves look good and have something to put on their Christmas cards or something to talk about at the next big party. In the contest, these neighboring families, they keep upping the ante until in the end, they've really given everything. Holidays on Ice is an enjoyable, quick read you can enjoy by the fire with a glass of spiked eggnog. On the back it says, Holidays on Ice collects 6 of David Sedaris' most profound Christmas stories into one slender volume. Perfect for use as a last-minute coaster or ice scraper. This drinking man's companion can be enjoyed by the warmth of a raging fire, the glow of a brilliantly decorated tree, or even in the backseat of a van or police car. It should be read with your eyes, felt with your heart, and heard only when spoken to. It should, in short, behave much like a book. And oh, what a book it is. So this book, it really made me laugh. It makes you look at Christmas through a different lens. I love Christmas songs that aren't just merry and happy and cheery, but also somewhat depressing, funny, and in their own way cheery. Like the Dropkick Murphys song, or A Fairy Tale in New York by the Pogues. There's something depressing about those songs, but also cheery and merry and appropriate to the Christmas season. Sedaris does have an offbeat humor that may be offensive to some. If you are not easily offended, I think you will like it. And it was also written at a different time. It came out in the 90s, when certain things were labeled, for better or worse, as okay to make fun of, or okay to even comment on. You know, people just didn't really know any better. I've also read that there was another version released after with several more stories. And those ones didn't get quite as good reviews as this one did. Some of the stories just seemed unnecessary. I think there was a Halloween one, and it just didn't seem as sharp as the original 6 stories. So that was today's review of Holidays on Ice by David Sedaris. This was definitely the right thing for me. I'm a big David Sedaris fan. I haven't read all his books, but everything I've read, I seem to really enjoy. You know, they're easy reads for me. They're enjoyable and funny and just something to make you laugh and really look at the world a different way. Not take the world so seriously. You know, it's okay to laugh at certain things and poke fun of certain things. Laugh at yourself, your family, even something as fun as Christmas. So have you read this book? What did you think? If you found this video helpful, please leave a like or a subscribe. I want to wish you a happy holidays again, and hopefully you get some good books.